Hello, testing. Hello, Silver. How you doing? There's 0 people watching, but Silver's chatting. So hello out there. I actually haven't streamed during the daytime before. I'm working from home today, so kind of taking a little bit advantage of it. Hey Chris, how you doing? You guys you guys see a little bit of the market breakdown here last night? Hello, Matt. You're welcome. I enjoy them. I enjoy doing them probably as much as you guys like watching them, so it's a win-win. Still above ground, Chris. You know, that's always good. That's I have a rule of thumb. If I like something or if it's, reasonable, I call it not horrible. So that's kind of something I'm known for around the house and with my friends is not horrible. If something's not horrible, they're like, okay. So I think it goes along those lines of still above ground. You guys in Ethereum, Bitcoin, or taking on water with your trades? How are you guys holding up? So I did see some news today. Here you go. China Internet Finance Association, Bitcoin exchanges lack legal foundation. So I think that's what's kind of pushing us slower. We've been talking about the head and shoulders in Ethereum. We've been talking about kind of the reason why it's fading, which has been because of this China news. Just day after day, it looks like they're targeting the cryptocurrency markets, which has been apparently causing this breakdown. Um, it's impossible to say what, but that's the most likely. That's the most likely scenario. Don't think of the Jamie Dimon. People think of the Jamie Dimon thing. They think that's why cryptocurrency went down. Not at all. Rhetoric, how are you, buddy? Fabiana, watching your crypto portfolio get wrecked. So, what's in your crypto portfolio? Yeah, because pretty much everything's in the red. There's a few things that aren't. Like Nexus isn't. Oh, I understand crypto, Fabiana. What crypto? I just sell everything with a loss. Sorry about that, Frederick. So, one thing you guys are going to learn over time is that if you can start to see a top forming, if you can start to see the storm rolling in, we just had 2 hurricanes hit over here in the U.S., and it was kind of like the Weather Channel said, okay, this hurricane's going to hit in a week. This hurricane's going to hit in 5 days, 4 days, 3 days, 2 days, 1 days. Now, we don't get that kind of forecast with trading, but if you can start to see the writing on the wall, then you need to start taking defensive, either do defensive selling or offensive selling, depending on kind of, exactly where your entry point was. That's actually not bad, Frederick. I will say that is not a bad thing. You can view this, when this is over with, you're basically going to get a reset of the crypto markets. So I don't view 15% down is that bad. I mean, it may feel bad, but just keep in mind we're looking at markets that run in 50, 100% runs. So when you can go ahead and when it's safe to get back in, you're going to be able to run that. You can probably double your account. Yeah, can't lose anymore. That's a good thing. We just have to kind of sit and wait. So, and the other thing about the markets is you really never know when it's going to turn back around. I mean, even though we've been looking at this head and shoulders pattern with the target down here, from the head and shoulders pattern, these things can turn around at any given time. You just kind of have to, keep abreast of the markets. Yep, me too, Frederick. I only have my long-term EOS hold, if you guys have been watching. If you're new to the channel, where's EOS? I made a pretty dumb trade on EOS, but it's very, very small. Oh, it's just getting wrecked. I bought like right up here, right before the crash. I think I went to bed. I'm like, yeah, I'll buy some EOS. And yeah, no trading plan, no real definitive reason why. I mean, I think I know the reason why. I think I saw this nice big volume bar and thought maybe it could be the beginning of something. And then I went to bed and it just caved in. It's been down here ever since. So that's my horrible trade. Even the best of us, and I don't know if I'm included in that, but even the best of us make mistakes all the time. All the time. My problem with EOS is I took such a small position that it doesn't really matter, so I'm okay holding it. So it looks like we are in the midst of a bounce here in Ethereum, probably Bitcoin as well. Go check out Bitcoin. Yeah, Bitcoin thing with a nice bounce. Let's look at this. Let's go in the 15-minute. There's a really nice volume bar here. That's a really nice volume bar. There's definitely some accumulation happening right here. Increasing volume. We're still below this neckline though in Bitcoin. Any thoughts on NEO in light of the China news? Not really. It's still living below levels that is unhealthy. So until it has a reversal of fortune, I don't invest in things that kind of look like they're going down. I'm not a bottom feeder. Okay, so there's a number of ways to invest. You can try to buy low and sell high, which is extremely hard to do unless you have very long time horizons and pretty deep pockets. You can have shallow pockets in a long time horizon, but your gains are going to be pretty well muted because no one knows how low is low, right? So I would prefer to buy on strength near a bottom, which is kind of why I'm excited that we're actually getting the shakedown, because when Ethereum bottoms, let's go back to Ethereum, maybe we can go ahead and use this as a roadmap, right? We already have a path here to the downside, and it looks like we're probably going to mimic something similar to that. But I would like to buy at extreme lows like this or extreme lows like this. Now, this would definitely qualify as an extreme low. I mean, it just cracked way down. I would prefer to buy at extreme lows, but not at the lows. I would actually buy. I would actually buy when they started showing accumulation just after the bottom. So that's why I wouldn't be buying in NEO, because there's no accumulation. Now on this pullback, we see a nice big green volume bar here, closing towards the high. That looks like a really good bottoming bar, really good bottoming bar. And we see another one. This is kind of a continuation bar. We'll look a little closer. So here's that bottoming bar. Here's some nice bottoming action. We see this close towards the middle of the range. Here's a nice purchasing bar, you know, opened here, came down, tested the lows. It was tested and held, and then we came up towards the top of the range. This is a really nice buying bar right here. Okay, now granted it went down, but I'm trying to be objective. You know, anyone could have got caught in this, and you would have had a nice run up here, to, you know, from 220 to 320. So I'm not mad at a 50% run in a short period of time, are you? I mean, even if it fails right after that, which it did, it slowly failed. If you notice, volume was fairly benign. I can't say exactly where I would have gotten out if I did buy here, but I probably would have bought on this bar, maybe on this bar or this bar possibly, because by this point you see large volume coming in. You see a level that's been supported a couple of times. Here you see it being tested, and then it was supported. And then when we get above this level here at about 260, that's a much more amicable buy point, because you can pretty much ascertain that this move is at least done. You know, it's done. Now it did get faded, and then we come down to a lower low down here with even better price action, with even better volume action. So in hindsight, you can kind of see that this was a little weak, especially right in here. I would have liked this to flatten out, kind of like it did here. But it's in the moment, it's very difficult to tell. The only thing you can do is say, I'm buying at a low. Like even if you did buy here at 250, I guess, yeah, it did go down to, you did lose $100 there. That's kind of difficult. But me, I would have been stopped out at least even, if not taking a profit at some point. But I wouldn't let that gain turn into a loss. I would have sold out, and then I would have noticed this bottoming pattern here with all this volume coming in, increasing volume when we're going to the upside, and then we have a nice consolidation, and then weirdness happens. But you know, you never know exactly when these things are going to break out, and you never know when these things are going to break down. So the only thing you can do is trade the charts and have faith. And if you buy over here on all this signal, and if you notice this action happening, you see big green pops, it's, you know, much ado about nothing at this point, because there's no selling. It's just a drift lower, and then eventually gets supported and comes back. So, you know, even if you bought over here and had a paper profit, and then got stopped out even, and then came over here and then bought again somewhere over here, I mean, that kind of makes sense to you guys? Is that too much rambling? You kind of see how you want to see strength after a bottom before you really start to buy, at least if you're in for longer term holds. So my game plan is look for a similar type of action. Over here we do have a precedent and a target here, so I can't say that I won't enter. I wouldn't buy, Eric. That's not my style. I wouldn't buy here. Can't use stops on GDAX. Gusta, hello buddy, how are ya? How are you? Oh yeah, Matt, I'm definitely bullish on Ether long term. Definitely. It's the biggest platform coin. It's the most well adopted at this point. There's already hundreds of coins on it. As we know, Omisego is on the Ethereum blockchain, so there's all kinds of stuff. Green bars with even bigger volume coming in right after. Yeah, definitely, that would be preferred. Like even this bar right here looks like a pretty nice bar. I don't think it's bottomed here per se, but the volume here is pretty impressive. Go to the 2-hour chart. Now, the 2 hour is less impressive, as you can see. Um, the smaller you go in terms of your chart time frame, the more granular you get to see the buying and selling action. So if we go more granular into the 15 level here, that nice green bar actually turns into a red bar. You see this large volume pop? So especially in cryptos, I think it's important to view the smaller time frames, especially when you're gauging sentiment. In other words, when you're trying to gauge it, whether the market is bullish or bearish, you really have to dig down a little bit to see where these volume spikes occur. So look at this, still a lot of red. Still a lot of red volume spikes on the 15-minute. Watching my stream in 144p? Is that even thing? A forecast for tomorrow said Ethereum will test 120,250. I'm sorry, 220,250. Thanks for that, Anton. If you've been with the channel for any period of time, I'm not a fan of those kinds of targets. I'm not a fan. That guy's trying to sound smart. I don't see how you can. I mean, you can try to put a time frame on this. Like when I drew this candle, I drew it on this breakdown, and I had this candle. I'm sorry, I had this bar like over here, thinking, okay, yeah, maybe this is a good time to break down. But I never said, okay, it's going to break down on 910. And then as this was supported and this was supported, I kind of moved this over a little bit, because we don't know. I mean, it's really hard to say that. That's very, very difficult. So most of the charts here, especially in the big coins, guys, they really are showing the same price action. They're really all showing very similar price action. Um, let's look at Litecoin. Let's dig down the 15-minute. Yeah, sorry, Frederick, buddy. You need to somehow find some better internet. So Litecoin, at least on the 15-minute, looks to be a little bit stronger. A little bit stronger than Bitcoin and Ethereum here. We have this very nice green bar pointing us up here. A couple levels are being held here at $58. We have a few pops to the downside there. Really, to me, doesn't quite look like bottoming volume. We have obviously this large volume consolidation. Look at this large volume happening here that didn't really lead to much. So we just have to give it time. It's also living below this. This was a support line. It supported the price on a number of occasions, and then here it failed. So support line now becomes resistance. So this resistance level, I mean, it can chop around here doing all kinds of things. If it hangs below this resistance level, it's not doing a whole lot. So IOTA sitting near lows at 53. It was at 50. It's up a little bit, but I mean, it's not really up. There's only a few coins that are actually even kind of green. 61 Fib says 230, 220, 230, and Head and Shoulders says 180. Head and Shoulders does say 180, and I'll take your word on the fibs. Let's draw some fibs. I don't do that often. Let's do some fibs. Why not? Now let's draw some Fibonacci's. you guys are unfamiliar with Fibonacci's, I am not the expert, but I'm smart enough to draw one. So you can go to Fib. You basically take it from the low here, and then all the way to the top. So that's what he's talking about when he refers to Fibonacci. The Fibonacci sequence is one. It's like it's a math sequence. If you're not familiar with it, it's 1 + 1 = 2, 2 + 1 = 3, 3 + 2 = 5, 5 + 3 = 8. It's basically a compounding effect, and it somehow came into trading as a thing. Not exactly sure why. So yeah, this fib looks like it's at 232 for the 61. By the way, 50% is not a fib. Just so you know. Fibs can kind of be like self-fulfilling prophecies. The reason being is because quite a few people do follow them. I don't think it has anything to do with, magic of the universe or anything like that. But Fibonacci's, they do have a Fibonacci time scale. I haven't played around with that. Trend-based fib time zone. So if we fib time zone this out, well, that's not going to work. Yeah, you can get crazy with all these things. I'm not going to do that, but so it's hard to say tomorrow it's going to go down and test this 220 level. Hard to say that. Yeah, I don't know about. I mean, if I say time, if I like try to give a time for something, it's a very specific risk reward ratio. And to be honest with you, cryptocurrencies are way too volatile for that kind of forecasting. I mean, if you have some, I will give you something that I have been looking at. I'm not considering it a forecast though. It's more kind of a guideline. I'm gonna erase these fibs out of here. So, watch some of the videos. We talked a little bit about this possibly forming, because essentially we have a double top here now, and then we can definitely end up with something like this, right? Where we have this downtrend, this uptrend, and now we're kind of in the middle of this downtrend at this moment in time. If this does come to pass and it doesn't, curl up, because this 240 level is going to be quite a bit of support. Actually, I want you to look at something here, guys. I want you to look at something here. You see all these opens and closes kind of right near the same level here? That 227 level, 227, 230 level. So that's going to be looks like a pretty strong level of support. There's a lot of buying happening right here. There's quite a bit of action happening right here at this particular level. You see these bars closing. All these are kind of intermixed. The closes and opens are kind of all over the place. This is pretty tight. This is really tight action. So this 224, 227, let's just call it 225. This 225 general area is going to be pretty difficult to break through, I would think. I would think. I just kind of have to wait and see. But when you start to notice, like, see, this is a little wide. We have, even this is pretty wide, but this is pretty flat. And it's interesting when you see action like this. So 225 could be, a potential bottoming point as well. Oh, P-Toy's 13% up today. Come on, P-Toy, what are you doing? Let's go down on P-Toy. See the 15-minute. Oh, this is looking nice. Yeah, Frederick, you can use fibs for bounces. You can use pretty much any signal for a bounce trade. P-Toy looking very good here. Maybe for a nice trade. Now what's our downside risk if we come down here? So when you're looking at a trade, you want to see what your downside risk is. So potential risk of about 20%. Hard to say to the upside what we're going to get. Hard to say there. So Anton says 225, best time to buy. Maybe it will go down a bit, but we'll be back up. So that's true. You know, that's true. It definitely could do that. We kind of saw this scenario right here, right? With and actually look at this bottom. Actually coincides with this 225 level. So we have a lot of buying here, as evidenced by this volume. If you remember a little bit ago, we talked about, you know, good point to buy towards bottoms. This 225 level was supported here. And even though it was shaken out very deeply, this is a very deep shakeout, it was supported over here. So yeah, 225 level, not bad at all from a price level and volume perspective. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. I may take a nibble down there if it gets that far. Maybe take a 15 or 20% position, and then yeah, I'll see what the price action is like down there. Excuse me, guys, real quick. I'll be back in about a minute. So looks like Ashish joined in. Hey Ashish, how you doing? Good seeing you again. He asks, why the sudden rise? So why the sudden rise? During pretty much any downward movement, as we can see over here in Ethereum, there's a lot of upward and downward action. Okay, there's still, you know, market participants are looking for bottoms, and they're buying and they're testing. So that's pretty much what's happening here. I mean, it's just kind of just someone's looking for a bottom. Hello, Altair. How you doing? Expected of the market now. I mean, we've been talking about the same thing over and over again. We've been talking about this head and shoulders pattern playing out. We need to see something change in the market. Until then, we are in a downtrend. You need to treat this in a defensive manner. So, like, the only thing we see running today is this P-Toy coin, right? This is like the only thing running up 16% today. We have this spread coin up 1%, which is doing nothing. And we have Nexus up about 4.5%, which is not doing too bad, but pretty much everything else is in the red. This is what's called, and I don't count BitConnect for anything. We are basically in a, I don't want to call it a bear market, but we're in a bear market / correction, whatever terminology you want to use. We're in a downtrend. You need to treat this defensively, okay? In a downtrending market, if you're shorting, you short every bounce. If we're in an uptrending market, you buy every dip. So that's really what's expected. What's expected until the market proves us otherwise is that it is in a downtrend, and we treat it as such, where any money put in the market is considered a risky bet. That's really what's expected. So Frederick says he's worried about missing out on the bottom. So if you notice there, you just said fear of missing out. You literally said two of the words in FOMO. Um, that can get you in trouble. You don't want to have fear. The only thing you want to do is trade the charts. Okay, so right now, is this the bottom? First of all, let's get a perspective, right? To know where you are going, you have to know where you've been. So we've been here. So we are right here. We're in the middle of this. We can go up or down either direction. I mean, if you take everything, take the news out of the mix, take this topping pattern out of the mix, what you're left with is a price that's in the middle of a historical price run between this 140 level and this 400 level. We're like dead in the middle of it. So this can go either direction. And so Anton, we did the fibs. We did the fibs a little bit ago. I'll go ahead and do it again for you. I'm not a big fib guy, so I would draw my fib from this 129 level. I don't. So drawing it from 180, this is one of the reasons why I'm not like a big fib guy. You want to draw your line from here. This is your historical average. If you're drawing it from here, there's really no precedent for that. I mean, you really want to draw your line from here. So what are you looking for? You see a base at 180, 225. Yeah, 226 level is this 70% fib, which I don't even think that's a fib. So yeah, this doesn't tell you much. I mean, fibs are just kind of future targets, and it gives you 5 targets. Which one do you follow? Which one do you follow is difficult. Yeah, I see JP Morgan's ex-CEO's tweet. I did not see the ex-CEO's tweet. And he told him to STFU. That's nice. He should. To be honest with you, he's probably going to be buying Bitcoin. He may himself put in the bottom. And when you make tens of millions of dollars a year, what does he care about Bitcoin? He's just going to use it to trade. He's going to use it to maybe make some money on. I don't know what he's going to do. So, but again, here in Bitcoin, we've broken the neckline of this head and shoulders pattern we did last night. We watched it live. Sorry, Frederick, wish you could have joined us, buddy. I will not place limit orders. No, I don't do that. Let me retract that statement. So I don't do that in the stock market because I'm very active. In cryptocurrencies, I do have to sleep. So if the market was like tanking and I had to go to bed for whatever reason, I may place a limit order in. Yeah, I can't say that's a bad strategy. I mean, if you're looking at a specific level, and I don't like to use the words believe, hope, think, because all those get you in trouble in the markets. They all get you in trouble. I mean, even my line that I've drawn here and we've looked at how many thousands of times now, even this line is very arbitrary. I mean, it's based off of something that's happened time and time again, this head and shoulders target. At the same time, this isn't, here, let me just get rid of this. It's not written in stone. It doesn't mean anything. What means something is that, okay, this pattern actually broke down. Now we're in a different cycle of the market. Frederick, you don't get to go to sleep. We've already talked about this. You need to be up at all times trading and watching things. Up at all times. I mean, if you wanted to put in a stop buy order today, I don't think the 225 level is a bad area. I mean, looking at it here, so that's pretty much where most of this price action, where these opens and closes occurred. But at the same time, they don't work like the stock market. There's no opens and closes, so. In double bottom. Sorry, it's not a number. What do you mean? I hold all my investments in XRP as of now. It has a lot of potential and great news are coming up here and there from time to time. Shall I diversify? So I'm actually a proponent. I agree with focusing your investing. I actually completely agree with that. However, I don't agree with personally focusing your investment and holding and forgetting about it. I believe if you're actively managing your investments and you're going to take a focused approach, meaning you have one or two coins, which is something that I tend to do actually, then you need to have a plan of some kind, and you need to figure out where you're going to get out because you don't want your entire, like, let's just say this breaks down and comes down here, your entire account's down 15 to 20%. I'm not sure where you're in from in Ripple. I don't know if it's, I mean, look, if you got in like way down here, right? If you got in at this 013 level, now it's at the 19 level, then you can hold all day long. It's not going to be a big deal to you. But if you're holding from up here or holding from up here and you're already underwater, holding all of your investment underwater is a bad use of your money. So should you diversify? I can't answer that question for you, Sheesh. I really can't. I can give you some background knowledge, and I can give you market advice, and I can give you kind of rambling here. The point is that I can't trade for you. Okay, you need to do what you're comfortable with. Okay, so you've gone up double, and now you're holding your free money, so that's good. Holding free money is always good. So I do like to focus my trades, but they will be trades. Um, I will not buy Ripple in this consolidation. I mean, maybe this is a kind of run I would like to buy, but past that, I don't see anything here that I would like to trade. And I would focus my position. I'll usually take half of my account or something like that with a position. Rarely will I take my entire account, with with the exception of my core holdings. Um, I have been fully invested in Ethereum in the past. Look at Edgeless. Edgeless is, I mean, edgeless. There's no edge. It's really just kind of going sideways and floundering about. There's not a lot of action here. Um, what are your focus coins, Randy? Ethereum for sure, but others. If I'm looking for market direction, I look at Bitcoin and Ethereum. They move the markets. They're going to lead us up or down. They're going to pull us with them. Think about it. So I have coin market cap. Let's look at Bitcoin and Ethereum. Okay, we have 137 million total market cap, and this is what, 60, 80, 91 billion of this 137 market cap. So you basically have 3/4 of the coin market cap within these two coins. 3/4 of the market cap held within two assets. So these are the leaders of the market. That's undisputed. That's just undisputed. So Ethereum will fork by the end of September. Usually after fork, the price will go up. Now need good timing to buy. So yeah, that's like Marathon or Millennial or something like that. Starts with an M. Is that the one that starts with an M? Okay, so let's go ahead and look at this time frame. So check this out. I've drawn these lines. Now again, these are arbitrary lines. This isn't my forecast. I'm drawing these in conjunction with this pattern that it's already formed. So yeah, I do like Lisk, Frederick. I think Lisk is awesome. I do not have a position in Lisk. And I may end up kicking myself for not taking a flyer position. But we'll talk about that another time. Um, so I've drawn these arbitrary lines. So this is not arbitrary. This is a fact. This has already happened. This is a fact. This has already happened. Now, when I noticed this head and shoulders, and then I saw this high yesterday or the other day or whatever it was, I started to see this other trend line coming down. And it really, you can actually take this bar, move it over here, and it's almost verbatim. Look at how closely correlated those are. They're pretty much exact. Those are pretty much exact. So if we can ascertain that we're going to get a similar type of downward trend, and you're talking about a fork towards the end of September, well, look at this. This bottom coincides with the end of September. Metropolis. Thank you, Anton. Thank you. So this coincides with what you're saying. It coincides with the market action. And when things tend to line up, if this actually gets down here, guys, load the fucking boat. I would load this boat down here. I would literally I'm just going to probably put everything into Ethereum. My only regret would be that I can't buy options on Ethereum. That's kind of my only regret, and I'm looking for someone to start that market. But anyway, so going on with the Metropolis fork, maybe this is a very good time. You know, maybe this happens. Maybe this happens. We get a big shakeout to the downside. Because one thing about all these targets, these head and shoulders patterns, you know, they work and they don't work, right? Like they kind of give you some general market. Like here's an inverse head and shoulders. We've talked about this a little bit in the past if you guys have been watching me for a while. Frederick, you've probably seen this. You've probably seen me do this once or twice, right? So here's an inverse head and shoulders. All right, go away. Okay, so here's a head and shoulders, right? A head and shoulders comes in at a top and is a reversal pattern. This is an inverse head and shoulders. It forms at lows and it is also a reversal pattern. So if we can imply, I'm just going to draw this right here. If we can go ahead and imply this is, sorry guys, let me move my chart here. If you can imply this is the move for this particular head and shoulders pattern. Oh, I have another trend line here. So look at this. This pattern worked out pretty good right here. But you notice it did spike past it, right? It did spike past it. So these are, I mean, look guys, we're trading. Nothing's exact. This is not an exact science. This is a loose art. This is kind of like throwing paint at a canvas. You're like, I want some yellow on that side. Splat. I want some red in the middle. Splat. So yeah, it is easy when you look at history, but also, Frederick, we've been talking about this since this right here, haven't we? And we're looking at history, but we have to trust the right side of the chart at the same time. You still have to trust the right side of the chart. So I'm not trying to prove to you here that head and shoulders work. Actually, to the contrary, what I'm saying is that head and shoulders patterns and other types of similar patterns can imply movement. They can kind of give you an idea, but the chart's going to do what it's going to do. So this one spiked up past it and then continued even higher. So once this head and shoulders pattern resolves itself, you can pretty much, I mean, keep the neckline in mind for the future, but it's pretty much, it's done. That was done. You know, we're still in the middle of this large head and shoulders pattern. And if this does get down here, you know, talking about this type of a line movement, if this thing chops here, maybe it gets down to it over here, spikes up, bounces up really hard, and then we get another spike down. I mean, come on, if you guys see Ethereum 160 and you're not buying Ethereum 160, there's something wrong. Check Bitcoin history. Bitcoin last fork is end of July. After fork, the price rallied. Yes, it did actually. Yes, it did. It rallied. It broke out of the 3,000 level right after August. And that's what I'm saying here. I'm saying if this is going to fork at the end of this month, that's right here at the end of this, at these prior lows. Like if this works out, I mean that's going to be a major buying point. Do you guys understand what I'm trying to explain? So I'm actually agreeing with you, Anton. I'm saying what I'm talking about with the chart and what you're talking about with Metropolis Fork could come to fruition at the same time. And Frederick, that's one thing, buddy, you can't be stubborn. You have to be like water. You literally have to fill the cup that you're in, okay? But I've got water in a very large green cup right here. Okay, if I pour this into a saucer, it's going to take the shape of the saucer, right? You really have to fill the cup that you're in. You know, Anton, if this gets down here, I'm like happy. I'm probably going to mortgage my house. I mean, I would like to. I can't say that my fiance will let me mortgage the house, but dude, seriously, come on. If we get down to under like $160 in Ethereum, that's insane, guys. That is crazy. That is so low. And if you just don't invest here like mad, then you're missing out on an opportunity. So I don't know a lot of things in life, and you hear me say on this channel all the time, I don't like to forecast, I don't like to do this because it's not factual. I don't want to give you my opinion. I don't think this is an opinion. I mean, if Ethereum gets back down here, you know, if Ethereum just doesn't fold altogether, then you load up the truck down here and then you become a holder. This is when you hold. You don't hold when you buy up here. You hold when you buy down here. That's when you can become a long-term holder. I have 100% profit. Should I sell to get a good bottom? I was able to sell when I saw some recovery previous hour. So I'm sorry, Diogo. Am I saying that correctly, buddy? I don't want to mispronounce your name too many times. You mentioned what you were in. You were in. I'm going back through the chat. Monero, Litecoin, and Verge. Good coins, man. Good coins. You need to stay active in this channel. So Monero is a very quality coin. It's still holding up, kind of in this higher level consolidation. I don't think I would sell it here if you're up in Monero. I don't think I would sell it here personally. That being said, if we do get a leg down below this 99 level, I would probably bail out just to lock in some of that profit. Because if Monero breaks down past here, it could go much lower, and there's not much support from here until you hit 80, like this 75-80 area, then all the way down here to 63. So if you're already down here at 108, I would give it down here until 100. That's only an 8% loss here. You also mentioned. Sorry guys, I'm trying to find this holdings again. I already forgot. I'm not feeling great today. Litecoin and Verge. Litecoin, another excellent hold. If you're already up in Litecoin, if you bought at 30, if you bought over here in Litecoin, I would hold this. I wouldn't sell this at all. You know, you're already down this far. I don't think there's too much downward price movement. Maybe it gets down to 53. So that would maybe be a 10% down. But if you're in it for the longer term, if you've been holding it for 2 months now, I don't see a reason to sell. And then Verge, you mentioned Verge. Kind of the same thing here. If you've doubled in Verge already, 006, we'll go to 003. maybe the same like with Monero. Maybe if it drops below this 55 level, you can maybe take some profits. But those are very good positions. I hope you stay with the chat. You could be a great addition to this community, to be honest with you. Those are very good. Those are good quality coins. And if you've doubled them, you bought them at very good points. And yeah, you should hang out. So Justin's talking, thinking out loud, saying stocks have been here for many years and they have patterns. Bitcoin's been here for a few years. Can the chart of stocks, Fibonacci's, etc., be the same for Bitcoin? They can and they are. There are differences. I've identified quite a few of the differences and I've adjusted my trading strategy appropriately. At the same time, the basic psychology of the market's the same. And this is actually a much more raw market. There's less manipulation in this market than there is in stocks. Number one, because it's a global market, it's not a regulated market. It's really just raw human fear and greed. So, and the chart patterns work off of those same principles. So, yes, it is going to be like stocks, and yes, it is going to, I mean, if you're good at trading stocks, you could be great at trading this. So Fibonacci's can work, but it's different. Let me show you how it's different. Guys, I'll be back in like 20 seconds. Hold on. All right, guys, I'm back. So yeah, so I was going to show you how things are different with like those Fibonacci's and some of those, and a lot of things. Like I don't even think moving averages work extraordinarily well. So here's the thing with Fibonacci's. In the stock market, a 61% Fib retracement is not a bullish sign. In the stock market, 33% is a bullish sign. That's a healthy pullback. A 50%, which is not a Fibonacci number, by the way, but a 50% retracement can be bullish as well. A 61% retracement is a lot less likely to be bullish. It's actually going to fail you because it's too far. I haven't spent time studying it. That's what I've noticed, and that's what I hear from people that do use Fibonacci's. You want to look for 38% retracements for your pullbacks. So that's the kind of differences I'm talking about. Even though Fibs kind of may generally work, they're not going to be the exact same way. So the moves here are much faster. They're much deeper. So it's a bit of a different ballgame. But this is why I generally look at the 2-hour chart. That seems to be pretty granular because this is a global market when you think about it, right? And stocks were closed for 18 hours of the day, 17 and a half hours of the day. So therefore, you have to look at days because there's just so much time that it's gone. But with cryptocurrencies, they're all over the place because they trade 24/7. Ruby. Let's look at Ruby. Sorry guys, I'm a little behind in chat here. Ruby coin. I think you said you made a killing with Trig. Congratulations. That's awesome. What do you like about Ruby? What about tell me everything you like about Ruby, Alex. Do I trade at all outside of the top 50 coins and try to play the pump and dumps? I do a little bit. If you guys were here last night, I had my work colleague Adam. He jumped in the chat room here, and he's got me in some of these smaller coins. We did play with Trigger. We did make some money in Trigger. We made some money in OK Cash. We made really good money in OK Cash, but that was via the chat room here. We have money in, what else do we make money in? Oh, we made money in ADX. We made money in ADX. So yeah, I've been while I do want to focus on the higher level coins, I like to know what they're doing. I'll definitely take trades in these smaller coins if I see like OK Cash. The reason that we took OK Cash, and it looks like several people that were in the room that day took this trade. We took this OK Cash trade, it ended up making us like, we're trading 70 to 100%. But what I look for is quality charts. That's what I look for. I look for quality charts more than I look for their position in CoinMarketCap. Sold triggered a huge profit in Ruby. Hey, your circle is spot on the line. Yep. Sometimes things line up and it's beautiful. And it's really funny when you have things that start to line up. I think you were talking about the Fibonacci retracement. I noticed that as well. Let me show you exactly what I noticed when I did that fib. So we'll do the fib again. I really don't want to start drawing fibs, guys. Don't make me do this. Don't make me draw fibs all day long. Yeah, so we talked about this 225 level. So this fib's at 235. We talked about this head and shoulders. We talked about this right here being on this line. Nothing's exact. Nothing's exact. So these fibs are all going to get pulled back. Like this retraced to about 38 and then came back up to 23 and then failed. I mean, you can look at this all day long, but I don't know. They're just lines. You can draw support. There's all kinds of lines you can draw. That's why I don't do a lot of these indicators. How do you go about setting up the indicators? Is there a logic to how many periods you set up? So this is my chart. Tadej, if I'm saying that correctly, I hope I am, Tadej. This is my chart. What indicators do you see? I actually don't trade with indicators. Indicators are always backwards looking. They're always backwards looking, and there's no indicator that looks forward. And if it is, it's based on voodoo, and I don't trade based on voodoo. So I do look at the right side of the chart, and if recent history is implying something as this head and shoulders is, and the right side of the chart is saying this is a valid pattern, then I'm staying with this story. Yeah, but I don't, like, here's some indicators. Like, I don't use stochastics. I don't use oscillators. I mean, look at this is a lot. This is a lot to keep up with, Hello, Canis. How are you? Now you can watch live as a German. You know what, Canis? Just for you, buddy, I'll let you watch as a German. There you go. You can watch live or record it as a German. You can watch any way you like to as a German. How's that for you? I'll do that just for you. I'm doing pretty good, Canis. My voice is a little, if you can't tell, my voice is a little hoarse. At least it feels like it to me. I'm working from home today, so I'm able to kind of do these live streams while I do some work. And I was up late last night trading cryptos, well, more like watching cryptos. But I'm doing okay. But we were talking about indicators. So here's 3 relative strength indicators. They're all very different. They all have signals that land at different times. And they're all based on these arbitrary numbers that work, I guess. So um, for me, these are backwards looking, okay, and I really don't use indicators. They look too far back, and they conflict with each other as well. That's the other thing. They conflict with each other. Okay, I've really found that price and volume is all you need on the chart. If you learn to read them effectively, which does take a little bit of time, but when you learn to read them, you'll basically say, oh yeah, then I don't need these other indicators. So there's some guys that put MACD on there. There's some guys that put RSI. Those are probably the two most widely used indicators I would think would be the MACD and the relative strength indicator. But at the same time, they have their times where they fail as well. So I'm focusing on these two things, and I'm gonna get really, really good at them. Frederick says 100-day and 200-day moving averages tend to be support lines as well as with a lot of coins. Because a lot of people are using them, it is also somewhat a self-fulfilling prophecy. So, interesting point, Frederick. So I did have some moving averages on a couple of my videos recently, if you guys noticed. They're no longer there. I don't have a great reason for that. Actually, I don't know why they left. They were on my chart. I don't know where they are. But in cryptocurrencies, like a 100-day moving average in IOTA isn't going to do you a lot of good. Candace, OK Cash, buddy. Let's go look at OK Cash. I almost got in yesterday. I didn't because I didn't buy anything. But yeah, I was thinking about buying like up in this consolidation area, but I just didn't. The market's too bearish right now. Overall, I think OK Cash is great. So OK Cash could be putting in a larger consolidation of some kind up here. So we have these two descending bases, these descending channels or whatever, and then we have this type of a cup and a handle base, and it broke out, a little pause and a run up. Now we're having a larger base put in here. This is going to take some time to work out. I mean, think about it. If this is probably going to get up here towards highs again, that's like 20-30%. So if you want to take a trade here and try to trade it, hold it for a pop like that, more power to you. Say you have a 10-12% downside for a possible 30% upside, that's a 3-to-1 risk reward. Actually, I think it's 2-to-1. Hope you guys don't mind. I'm going to peek at my stocks real quick. And Boeing looks pretty good. EKG's curling up, looking excellent. Were you guys here when I was talking about my my stock option trades at all? I won't bore you with them. But, oh yeah, working really well here. All right, back to cryptos. And look at Cloakcoin and Ptoy. Yes, Ptoy is having a good day. Oh man. So one thing I like in Ptoy, okay, don't give me crap chart. Okay, Ptoy has a large cup with a handle. This is a pretty nice looking chart. Now, don't get me wrong, it's choppy. I like tight action. This is kind of choppy, but this is a recent ICO. So all this chop in time could look like this. Right? So if this is Ptoy's ICO, come on. If this is Ptoy's ICO, this is the cup with handle we're in now. The move we're going to have to have is something like this to make this look small. And that may be a possibility in Ptoy. If we look at Ptoy, I think its market cap is 30 million. I was thinking 60 million. 30 million market cap in Ptoy. Yeah, I may trade a little bit of Ptoy here. I may get in on this. I may jump in on Ptoy here. I think I'm going to put a trade on, guys. Go to Bittrex. I'm going to log in. use my code. $776,293. You can hack me for the next 35 seconds. All right, so let's go to PTOY. And so when you're putting on a trade, one thing you want to look at is what kind of position you want to put on. How much risk are you willing to put on the table? So I have to ask myself that question here. I gotta buy Bitcoin first? That's a load of crap. Darn it, I gotta buy Bitcoin now. All right, guys, bear with me as I put a trade on it. What's my opinion on Expanse? There's some hype due to another coin, Token Lab, which launches on the Expanse chain. I looked at the chart the other day. Like EXP? Yeah, there it is. I wasn't super enthused about it. It's just sitting here chopping around. Don't trade on news, trade on price. Don't trade on news, trade on price. Okay? So if you say to yourself, I really like these volume pops in here, I like this accumulation, I wouldn't mind you taking a trade if you're looking at stuff like that personally, but I wouldn't just trade because something's ICOing on its chain. All right, so now I have to go back because I want to trade this PTOY. Excuse me. Now I'm going to go and buy Bitcoin because I have to. I don't want to buy Bitcoin because it's going down. But they're going to make me, and I understand. It's holding steady here, so I'm not going to lose my butt in the next 12 minutes as I buy 12 seconds as I buy Bitcoin. All right, so let's buy some Bitcoin. Every time we do this, you get screwed in a shakeout. What are you talking about, Frederick? Just like buying a position or buying towards these highs? Because anytime you're buying these highs, it's a bit of a risk. I will say that. So I don't recommend everyone take this here. I've been wanting Pationary token to kind of break out. I actually got in on it when it started popping up here. I actually got shaken out pretty good, and I think I ended up selling. I don't remember. I mean, it wasn't at a good place. I mean, it was somewhere down here. I don't remember exactly, but so I did take a loss. It was a fairly small position. It was a 20% loss though, so not my best trade. I took this volume pop as a potential early running sign that it was going to go up, and it didn't quite work out for me. May not work out again, but I like more volume accumulation here. We got some large volume bars. If we go down to the 15-minute, you start to see us selling off. I'm sorry, diminishing volume pattern with price sitting at highs, which indicates lack of selling. Eric, how are you? Oh, Candace, don't buy just because I'm buying. When you set a stop loss, you mean like a hard stop, like actually at the exchange you actually set a stop loss? Yeah, they can hunt for those a little bit. They can look for walls, and people tend to put their stop losses at about the same area. The reason I got so screwed in PTOY the first time is because I don't set stop losses. So in this case, it's a bad thing because I didn't set one. But in a lot of cases, it's not really warranted if you buy correctly, in my opinion. 5-minute chart? Sure. I'll go to the 1-minute chart. I'll do you one better, buddy. So here we're sitting at highs. We're kind of slanting upwards. We do have a trend line forming here. This looks like it was just broken, and it's going down a little bit more. Haven't had a chance to buy mine yet, so yeah. So we'll see what happens on this on the break of this trend line. We'll see if volume comes in or not. But I do like the fact that this coin recently ICO'd. Darn it, I really hate this. I get this massive bar up here. I wish I could get rid of it. Okay, so we have this cup. We have a handle forming. Potential upside here is looks like about 60% to kind of the highs just after the ICO, and then past that, because it is a recent ICO. Let's look at the volume here. Look at this volume. You have big green volume bars on the daily chart. Green, 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 green. 2 red bars. So lots of green bars in PTOY overall on the daily chart. Ah! It's gonna move. Don't move without me. Okay, so how much do I want to risk in this one? Let's take like a 20% position. Let's do that. So that's going to be buy Bitcoin at the ask and 0.3. In this account, I've got 0.3 Bitcoins. I'm going to take 0.06. Oh, that's not 20%. Excuse me, guys. I'm adjusting my mic. If you hear some scratchy there, I apologize. All right, so I guess I'll just buy some Bitcoin. I'm not buying Bitcoin at the ask. 39.11 to 39.19. Let's do 39.15. See if we get filled. Oh, now I'm the bid. I am the bid on Bitcoin right now. 39.15. Yes, this is nice tightening action up here. Doesn't mean it doesn't go down, but definitely could go up. All right, my Bitcoin got filled, I think. Yeah, so usually when I buy at these levels like this, when it's not actually actively breaking out, it tends to fade me in too. So I'll probably anticipate a fade like that of some kind. Okay, how much Bitcoin do I have? Okay, I got my Bitcoin now. That took a little bit. Randy, I want to ask you if you can help me. My problem with cryptos is that I fear to miss out on more gains. I get great coins and pumps all the time, only to fail to sell at the right time. So, yeah, let's talk about some selling strategies, okay? So let's go back to my most recent good trade, which is OK. So we were trading OK. I don't know if you were here at that particular moment in time, but I'll go down to 15-minute. No. Okay. So I actually bought OK right here. Kind of a similar situation where with PTOY, it had a run up. Okay, granted, this is a much better run up than PTOY looks. This looks way better than PTOY. So we're running up here off of this breakout of this trend line. and then we started to consolidate, pulled back, and we started to tighten up, and I took a position pretty much right over here. I don't know, maybe it was over here, but it was somewhere over here. And then it started to run up, and I actually got out right here. See these two little spikes, these two spikes in volume? Look at how large this price action is right here. Look at that. That's the biggest bar that we've seen through this entire run up. So I sold on that spike up. That was a pretty successful trade for me. Now at the same time, it curled up and made another high. But I can't be too upset about that because number one, I made money. So that's the first thing. I made money. You can't always be in the market. Okay, that's another thing. You can't always be in the market. You have to understand that when you're waiting on the sidelines, being an observer, you're basically a lion at that point, right? You're sitting on the sidelines with a bunch of cash. You're like, all right, I want something that's gonna run, that's gonna do good, and then boom, you pounce on it, and then it runs up, hopefully. But then you have to eat your kill at some point in time. Okay, you eat your kill in something like this on a big volume bar. So this is a textbook sell signal right here, this big volume bar. Now, when I saw this kind of run up towards highs again, I was like, man, should I get back in? But keep in mind, the chart looked like this at the time, right? So the chart already had a big run up, big run up here at 74. It's hitting 75, which is kind of a psychological number. It's a 25 number, right? So, and I think I was working or asleep or something at this time. I didn't watch this run up, but I had a nice profit and I was happy. And now I'm a lion sitting on the sidelines again. So you have to be okay sitting with a cash position and waiting for good things to happen. So actually, okay cash doesn't look horrible right now either. You've got a declining trend line. The more times it hits this, the more likely it is to break it. Pretty nice right here. So when to get out? Anytime you have a profit is a good time to get out. If you have a really big profit and you're super excited, at least for me, I know that's a signal that I should consider selling my position. Back to P-Toy. I'm getting some FOMO here because I haven't bought my P-Toy yet. Well, that's a nice bar on the 1 minute chart. But we're starting to round over. We're starting to round over a little bit here. A little bit of round over, so maybe I have my Bitcoin. That just happens to make a quasi channel. Don't put any emphasis. There's no such thing as a curve channel in trading. There's a rounded top and a rounded bottom. That's what this is, kind of a rounded top action. A rounded top implies that purchasing pressure is decreasing, going flat, and then it just falls off altogether. I wonder if I can get filled down here at like this 45 level. It's at 2%. Yeah, Candace, I mean, when you're super hyped about, and that's another reason why I sold OK, is I'm like, holy crap, this thing, I think it was up like 80% on my charts. It said it was 80% to the upside. I'm like, wow, this is fantastic. And then I saw the price action, saw the volume bar, and I'm like, I just need to sell. My account was really nice. So Candace, if that's something you're noticing about you as well, that has to be part of your trading plan. Like, you literally have to think to yourself, holy crap, this thing's up a crap ton and I'm making money. So at the same moment, going back to my stock charts here, I entered a trade. So this is PKG. This is a weekly chart of PKG. This is a US stock. And this is a intraday chart, 5-minute chart of PKG, right? So I actually bought PKG somewhere over here. I don't remember exactly where, but I bought PKG over here, and I'm trading options. By the end of this day, I was up, what percentage wise would that be? Like 50%. No, I'm not talking about dead cat bounce. I was up 50% in this trade, and I was super pumped. I talked about this, I think, on the live stream yesterday or the day before. I was super pumped right here, and I'm like, holy crap, I need to check myself and review to see if I need to take profits, because I'm really excited. I'm in a number of hours up 50% in the stock market. This isn't cryptos. This is the stock market. And I'm thinking to myself, do I need to sell here? So I took it as a sell signal, and I went to really go review and do my homework. So I went to the weekly chart, reviewed the weekly chart, look at the overall market. It's bullish, so this thing can still continue to run. And I decided to hold my position. And then, the next day, a little more of the same. I was getting pretty excited by the end of the day because I'm up like 85% at this particular point. So again, I'm kind of thinking to myself, okay, what can happen here? I'm looking at the behavior of PKG on the weekly chart, even on the daily chart. I'm taking behavior into account. Okay, what has this thing done in the past? What is it likely to do again? I noticed that PKG, it trends up, but if you notice, there's a lot of red mixed in with these upward movement. Very rarely does it have a thrust up that doesn't get faded at some point in time, right? Like if we're looking at this daily chart, rarely. Come on, guys. Anyway, rarely does PKG have a type of movement like this, and then it doesn't pull back. And it's doing that today, as a matter of fact. It's pulling back. But if you notice, it's actually right now, it's about 2 hours to the close. And it pulled all the way back down here. And my position was up only 40% at that time. But it's pulled all the way back up here. So anyway, anytime that you're euphoric, if you notice that's something about you, you have to make that part of your trading strategy, at least for a review. Oh, is crypto experiencing a dead cat bounce? I apologize, I misread that. Crypto Money, what's up, buddy? Can you tell if Trig will go up on that 70 million burn? What do you think? I can't tell that. I don't know what blog to check for that. So I can't tell that. It sounds good in theory, doesn't it? Like, it really sounds good. They're going to burn 70%. But maybe they rebalance. So there's something in the stock market called a reverse split, okay? Where if you have a million stock, okay, whatever the stock may be, if you have 1 million shares of stock and they're worth $1 a piece, that market cap is worth $1 million. If you decide to do a 10-for-1 reverse stock split, where that million shares is now 100,000 shares, and each of your dollar stock is now worth $10, nothing's really changed. I don't know if that's what they're doing in Trig. I haven't really looked into it that much. Oh, that's a large volume spike right there on stationary token. And another one. What's the volume here? 8K? Where'd the volume go? Yeah, so I'm not quite sure if it's like a reverse stock split where they're kind of going to be, because I heard there was a coin exchange involved. Maybe you can do a little bit of looking into that. If there's a coin exchange, it could be like a 10-for-1 or 1-for-2 or something like that. Or maybe the value doesn't change and it's just all hype at this point. I'm not sure. Do I think crypto is experiencing a dead cat bounce? Yes. And I don't even think it's a good dead cat bounce. It's not even a good one. Get out of the minute chart and go to the 2-hour. So this isn't even a really good dead cat bounce. You want to see a good dead cat bounce? That's a good dead cat bounce right there. That's a good dead cat bounce. This isn't a bounce. That's not a bounce. So yeah, in my opinion, we are going downside further. That, to me, that seems obvious. I don't see too much bottoming action happening. If you guys didn't know, we actually did have a Bitcoin exchange tracks legal foundation. China Internet Finance Association says a self-regulatory body in China focused on online finance has issued a new warning on Bitcoin exchange risks. So they're hitting these exchanges, and it could. Hey, someone here agrees with my 3,000 target on Bitcoin. Bank of America survey calls Bitcoin most crowded trade. Wow. Ooh, Tencent taps Intel's for IoT blockchain. Tencent is a chip manufacturer, if I remember correctly. They definitely could be, if they're getting into something, that could be big. Other internet conglomerate, my bad. Did my family think I was crazy, Eric? No. No, I talked to my fiance about it, and I just explained the use case to her. We have an emergency fund that we have kind of for emergencies. It's actually quite a bit of money, and I actually invested it in Ethereum. I'm out right now. I'm cash at this particular point in time, but I'm going to put that money on like a 10x Monaco type of a card, so we still have it available, but at the same time, we still get some price appreciation in a pretty stable coin. And she's down with that. All right, what's P-Toy doing? 15% now. 1 hour left. Go to 15-minute. Go to the 1 minute. Maybe I'll buy some P-Toy here. So I think I'm just going to nibble at P-Toy. I think that's what I'm going to do. Missed a good buying opportunity down here at 43. Hey, there you go, 43 again. Yeah, I told you, usually when I want to buy here, it gets faded. So retesting it that fast, looks like it's going down a little more. Do you buy financial regulator issues warning on ICOs? Very interesting. All right. So while the overall market is kind of choppy, we're watching P-Toy kind of chop a little bit here as well. Haven't bought yet. Thinking about it. I would have bought over here if I had my coins in. I didn't have my coins in, so I didn't get a chance to. And then I saw the rounded top action, and I'm like, okay, I'll wait. And then now down we go. So someone mentioned they bought P-Toy. Who was that? It was Canis. Was it you? Yeah, it was you, Canis. You got 200 P-Toy. $100. That's not bad. So we're getting some big bars here. Do we have any bars like that in the past? I guess now we're getting deep in the past. How do I estimate the low? The low in what, Eric? Yeah, we've talked about Nexus once or twice. Got it in here somewhere. Oh, there we go. One of the few that's up. Yeah, we looked at Nexus. I do like the fact that it's outside of this symmetrical triangle and it's holding it. That is a good thing. All this volume here. Let's dig down. Okay, so this is a support bar right here on Nexus. This large volume. This large volume is a support bar, so that's good. We have this is a nice bar right here. Very large volume. That bought a lot of orders right there. That's some pretty nice action. Yeah, Next is not looking bad. Not looking bad. What kind of coin are they? Are they a privacy coin? Are they a platform coin? What am I doing? Oh, P-Toy. Come on. I don't know, maybe I won't get in P-Toy. Yeah, the markets are real choppy here. These altcoins are going to be doing some weird things. I like Nexus. I do like P-Toy to break out of that cup with handle out of this ICO base. I do like Nexus. I really like Lisk. It's a larger cap coin and it has an excellent chart pattern at the moment. Look at how nicely this is just holding tight. This doesn't care what Ethereum's doing. This doesn't care what Bitcoin's doing. This doesn't care about China. Decentralized internet through satellites. How do you do that? How do you decentralize internet? It seems like you'd have to have a hardware component to it. Let me check out do some work here. Oh, I need to keep my Slack up. My work Slack goes to sleep. I need to make this not sleep. All right, all's good on the work front. That's good. Satellites. Nexus is satellites. That's good. Good for them. Yes, I do have Lisk Bitcoin and Lisk US dollar. There is quite a difference I've noticed between the two, so I kind of keep them up. Let's look at Omise Go. We haven't really looked at Omise Go in a while. Some pretty decent volume right here. We did talk about a double head and shoulders in Omise Go over here. So we implied a target. I think it was like $9. I never actually thought it would happen. I just saw it and drew it. I didn't actually think it was going to happen. But that implies a 783 downside movement. Playing with the Fibonacci fan the past 2 days, it seems Bitcoin is bouncing right on the lines. Next drop could be around 3,500. Yeah, so one thing about all these chart indicators like Fibonacci's and things of that nature, if you do find one that works, I don't think it's a bad thing to kind of help it guide you. I don't think it's a bad thing. But it's not going to work all the time though. Like go to any time frame and try to draw that fib fan. He's talking about a fan, Eric, if you're not familiar. It's not a retracement, it's like a fan. Yeah, look at this, like a fib channel, fib wedge, fib speed retracement arcs, whatever the hell that is. Fib spiral, that is kind of weird. Circles, I mean, there's all kinds of fib stuff. People just make this crap up and put it out there. There you go, resistance fan. So let's do it on Bitcoin. Let's take it all the way out here. I mean, this thing is interesting. So there's the, so you know, whatever. So check this out. Let's do this just for some fun. We got the fib fan. Let's figure out our fib retracement. Let's see if we can find out something that's going to work here. We got a fib retracement. We've got, what else can we put on here? Oh, we need a Gann square, obviously. Obviously, we need a Gann square. Right, so that's to that. That's to that right there. And we need, what else do we need on here? What's really needed that works really well? Oh, fib spirals. Where's the fib spiral? That's a fun one. So the fib spiral is really fun. Let's just aim it right there. All right, so where are we going here, guys? We're going to go to, first we're going to hit this 37.68, and then we're going to hit this 35. We're going to hit this 33. Then we're going to hit this 30. Then we're going to, so I think I should post this chart. my top 5 Fibonacci and Gann retracements on one chart. That's at least fun, right? Hey, that's a really nice chart. Really nice chart. All right, guys, so it looks like Ethereum and Bitcoin has been shopping around. We've had this little float up that, like I said, I wouldn't call it a dead cat bounce per se. This would be a dead cat bounce, but we're just floating up, and now we're starting to fail it a little bit. See what happens. This looks a lot more realistic once that neckline's been broken, doesn't it? A lot more realistic. You like that, Tadesh? All those fibs? How does a fan work? Well, typically a fan is made of a piece of paper or parchment of some type, and you move it, and when you oscillate it, it pushes wind towards you, which simulates a breeze, therefore cooling you down slightly. My thought exactly, Anton. My thought exactly. Even with regular fib lines, I can't see anything on the chart. I mean, I can, but it's not pretty. To really answer your question, Frederick, without the sarcasm, the Fibonacci sequence, let's Google, who here knows what the Fibonacci sequence is? I actually really love the Fibonacci sequence. It's really cool. Just maybe math is fun. So here's the spiral. You make a spiral, and they have all these rules. There's a golden ratio, 1.618. That's a Fibonacci, as you know. Yeah, Fibonacci. I did a little bit of research on fibs, man. They're great. I actually painted my walls using Fibonacci numbers because I'm a super geek. I used the 112, and it worked out really well. I mean, it worked out really well. Yeah, so here's images for Fibonacci. Here we go. So here's a, so what they're just taking those Fibonacci numbers and fanning them out. That's all they're doing. Oh, look, Trump's got a Fibonacci hair going on here. That's pretty. There's a Fibonacci sequence. Hurricanes, galaxies. You actually see the Fibonacci sequence all throughout nature. It's quite fascinating. They've found it in all kinds of things. All kinds of things. Here's a kind of a Fibonacci, type of Fibonacci sequence. This shell has the same type of sequence. And here you go. Here's Head and Shoulders. Fibonacci. So anyway, fibs are pretty cool. It's based on math, actual real math that does real things in the real world. And people decided to put them to the stock market. and it works occasionally. You still there, Anton? That's a bunch of crap. Get off my channel. What the? Oh. Did I go down, guys? Okay. Yeah, Anton, sorry, some guy made a comment about you in your one of my videos after you mentioned that you sold at a loss. So anyway, I didn't delete his comment. I don't think that's cool, but I stood up for you a little bit there. Are indicators a self-fulfilling prophecy? Not really. I mean, I don't think anything is a self-fulfilling prophecy unless you consistently call yourself a loser and an idiot and stupid. Then you're training your mind to think in those terms, and in that way, I think it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. But the market doesn't do that. The market moves with its participants, buying and selling. You can read more into it than that, but it's not accurate. Guys, I'm gonna go in here pretty quick, maybe 15 more minutes. I'm gonna get out of here, get some more work done, and then maybe hit back up at in about 3 hours or so. How much going on here? Let's see what the stock market's doing. Come on, Boeing. Nice volume pops here. Some selling here. I don't understand. Get sick when cryptos are going red. Oh. So Neo, everyone's talking about Neo being a bottom. Is Neo bottomed? We were talking about that for a little bit. People were asking about Neo in the last live stream. Doesn't look like it's bottom to me. Looks like it's still continuing lower. So the red bars can get depressing until you realize it's part of a normal market cycle, and then pretty soon, probably within a couple of weeks, we'll be in a bull cycle again. So you can think of it like a forest fire clearing up the brush. You can kind of think of it in those terms. So I mentioned Monaco. Yeah, looks like it bottomed a little bit here. We don't have any bottoming volume that I would like to see here. It really roll over it. It could roll over at any time if you don't have some good support, some actual support down here. Yeah, red C's to me mean future opportunities, not necessarily in the moment. So what to buy right now, Monaco? I don't know if I would put. First of all, I would not put too much money to work. I would put very little to work right now, if any, until this thing actually settles out. You're going to have some specific coins run. We've been watching P-Toy, hoping that would get some legs behind it. It has some nice volume here. It's bucking the market trend, which is bullish. And it also has a recent ICO and it has yet to break into those highs. So it has a few things going for it. Avatar Vids, how are you? I haven't seen you in a little bit. Does it make sense to analyze the market in this state? I generally don't analyze the market in this state. I just kind of watch. I kind of have to analyze. That's what I'm doing here for you guys. But for my trading, I've seen enough charts that I know that this type of a chart means that I don't have to do anything. Hey, Avatar buddy, get your questions or comments in. I'm going to be calling it in about 10 minutes or so. Yep, Bitcoin 3800, and today uploaded an update saying what up, motherfuckers? What did I tell you? Hey, you know what? He's going to be right until he's wrong. And you'll be wrong until you're right. That's the thing. People that always call that this is the bottom, they're eventually going to be correct. They're literally, at one point in time, from this sell-off, you're like, oh, this is the bottom, this is the bottom, this is the bottom, this is the bottom. And here he says he's right, But he called it 3 times prior. I can look at Qtum, but probably not going to say much. Yeah, it's just hanging out. If you have a position in Qtum at this point, it doesn't look like, it has some downward pressure, about 20% to maybe 50% upside, but it's not doing a whole lot. It's just kind of hanging out. I'm not super interested in coins that are just kind of floundering about. I don't like flopping fish. I prefer flying fish. Yeah, lots and lots of red. So what we talked about a little bit ago, I think this is kind of important actually for the longer term. Who said it? Someone was talking to me about the fork in Ethereum. I want to give him a shout out, give him some credit. And my chat doesn't go up that high. Was it you, Anton, or anyway, someone Bitcoin will test 3,300 value and will rally again on November. Oh. Yes, what we were talking about is we've actually seen a bit of a correlation in the Ethereum chart. Looks like there's a possibility that we do some kind of a W action here. Do some kind of a W action here, and if we get down here, I'm loading the truck up to this coin. Let's go look at Bitcoin and his call for 3,300. So it gets to 3,300. Peter, I did not. I was looking at some P-Toy. I had to move some money around, and in that process, it ended up rolling over, so I did not buy anything. Still thinking about P-Toy, still looking at it, but I have not. I have an SegWit 2.0. Yep. September 18th? That's this month. Somebody was saying it was going to be the end of the month. Oh well. What's the end of this month then? There will be 2 batch forks. First one September 18th. Second one end of September. Okay. Okay, that makes a little more sense, Anton. Thank you. So at the end of September, actually, I drew these lines without really knowing that. Just kind of thinking what may happen, right? So we have a downtrend here. We have an uptrend here. We're in the middle of another downtrend here. This bar correlates, right? This price is correlating with this particular bar. Is essentially the same slope as this line. So if you take this all the way down, if it's a measured move scenario where it actually gets all the way down here, this is the price target via this head and shoulders pattern. But it's not to say we can't go a little below that and come down to 141. If this happens, and then that fork at the end of the month, that could be catalyst for another move higher, which would be maybe something like this. Maybe it does something like this again, right? So that could be pretty significant. That could be pretty significant. Well, fork or update is still a news event around Ethereum. Maybe, sometimes people around these forks, they get a little bit nervous. I think that's what happened with Bitcoin, right? They were worried about the Bitcoin fork. Worried about the Bitcoin fork. It went well, and this pop started on a couple days later. So anyway, not saying it's what's going to happen, but I'm saying it's a possibility. And if it gets down here and that works out and it looks all hunky-dory, just load up with some Ethereum. Will it when we get to 225? Will I buy? I don't know. It's at 270 right now. I don't know if there's a base that's put in at 225 and I buy at 225 and it gets tested and tested and tested and tested, I'll sell it at some point before it breaks again. So, but yeah, could I take a flying position down there? I definitely could take a flying position there or anywhere that I see some really good voluming action. And I'll talk about it more when we get to that point. But there's a time component here. There's a time component here, okay? So as we see these moves up and down that we've drawn these trend lines around, as we've seen with these moves, they tend to take some time, right? They take time to sell off. They don't just sell everything at once, and it's not just one person doing it. So I don't know if I'll initially buy. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't have that answer for you. All right, guys, I'm going to call it a day here. I may jump back on here in 3 hours or so, maybe 3 to 4 hours. We'll see. I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna get some lunch, do some more work, and then go ahead and I don't know, do something else maybe. Then I'll jump back on here maybe a little bit later in the day. You're welcome, Justin, Eric. Have a good day, guys. I will talk to you later. Happy trading.